February.
Okay. Start by introducing yourself, please.
I'm Arrow. I run this channel. Yeah, hi. The sport I'm talking about today is weightlifting, also known as Olympic weightlifting or Olympic style weightlifting. Yes. So generally we just call the sport weightlifting in general. It's just a lot of people kind of conflate it with just like lifting weights or with powerlifting or other sports that involve just moving weights in general. But weightlifting is very specific in that we have just our two movements, the snatch and the clean and jerk. And weightlifting is known as Olympic weightlifting because it's a sport that actually one of the sports that began the modern Olympics as we know it. To me, weightlifting it's a pursuit of futility, which is one of the things I love about the sport. It's a sport where every day, every lift we make, we aim to make it on a technical level, 100% perfect every single time, despite knowing full well that that is absolutely impossible. It is a sport where you constantly have to deal with failure, constantly have to deal with hardships and difficulties within the sport itself, from distractions to everything. And I guess it's a way to kind of sharpen your mind as well as your body for me. I mean, obviously every sport, especially if you are dedicated to it and you can really fall in love with it, like it's going to do a lot for you. But weightlifting especially, if I compare it to CrossFit or I compare it to swimming, track and field, or any other sports I've really done in the past, there's definitely a lot higher degree of failure. Like with weightlifting, you could be pulling a weight that is so light for you that you do as a warm-up, but just because your focus isn't there, like you're not entirely there mentally, you start missing those weights. And then you just got to figure out a way to deal with that, to adjust, to like recalibrate, get back into it. Otherwise, that can kind of just mentally get to you. Because of the fact that it's such a technique-specific sport, you just kind of have to push through the failure because it happens so easily. And especially when you're starting out or when you're pushing certain percentages, or even if you're having a shitty day, like you just really need to deal with that failure and learn to deal with that failure. And even when you make the lift, oftentimes I'll look back on the footage of me lifting and I'll like find like this tiny part of it and just be like, I should have gone faster there, or I should have like pulled a couple more millimeters. It's a sport where like you have to be so specific to improve and apply so much intent mentally to the technique itself. So like I think in terms of dealing with failure, weightlifting will make you confront that more than most sports could. Oh, 100%. I work in filmmaking. Everything goes wrong. Like on set, you make a plan and you just wait for things to go wrong and then fix it. And like, if you can't deal with that, with like things going wrong and things failing, it just, it will mess with you. Your stress levels will go up. So like being in the gym and being surrounded by just all that, and like even like seeing people like screw up around you can mess you up. So you really have to learn to just like dial in, like focus on what you're doing, forget about the failures and just keep pushing past it. So originally I had actually discovered weightlifting through CrossFit. At the time, I'd seen like some weightlifting footage online here and there, but it was just, I mean, you just see those guys lifting at the Olympics on a giant stage or something. I don't think, especially at the time when I was 16, it wasn't a very common sport. So it wasn't ever something I actually thought I'd get into. And then I got into CrossFit, where these movements were taught to us, I guess, on a more simple way, and we were doing them in a very different way. And then eventually, so I did CrossFit for a few years. Then I went off to film school, where I didn't really have time to go to the gym or eat well or generally just take care of myself. Especially film school is not known to be a very health place that encourages a healthy lifestyle. So when I came back, I lost a lot of weight, a lot of muscle, and I tried to go back into CrossFit, and things were just not really working out for me. I was a lot weaker. I was dealing with so much soreness and inflammation. You know what? Maybe I'll take a bit of time off and work on my strength before going back to CrossFit. And at the time, Iron Hive Gym had just opened, and I knew the owner, Keen, because we had gone to school together before. And seeing like a more weightlifting focused gym, I figured, you know what? It's right across the street from like my old CrossFit gym. So I'm gonna go in there, few months, get strong again, and then go back to CrossFit. But then I think it wasn't even like a week or two when like I started to really get hooked on the weightlifting. And then from there, it was just been go, go, go ever since. I think that comes down to the individual and their training environment. Like if you have like a setup at home and you're just doing that, then I guess it could get lonely. But for the most part, like if you're competing or something, you're gonna have people training next to you. You're gonna have teammates. And even though you're competing solo, and even if you're competing against your teammates, at the end of the day, like you see everyone struggle there around you. They see you struggle every day to like lift these weights, to put in all this effort. Like you want to see each other succeed. And I think that's interesting because despite the fact that we call it a solo sport, you're never really out there alone. You have your support system. You have your coach there like calling the weights that you're going to lift. And you're communicating with them. You're communicating with the people who are handling you backstage when you're warming up. Like, yeah, it's a solo sport, but at the end of the day, it's I think really with any sport, even if we call them solo sports, it still takes a village. A lot of people are so apprehensive about it because like they look at it and they see like, oh, I could get injured. I can drop the barbell on myself. I could do all these things. And it's just like injuries are not going to happen that easily. Like it took me years before I ever got any major injuries, and it wasn't until like I started training to be to be very competitive, where I'm in the gym like 15 hours a week, where my body started showing those signs of like kind of giving out. And even then that was mainly because all the years I'd been training prior, I had not taken care of my mobility or anything. So that's completely on me. But yeah, it is a very welcoming kind of thing. Like the community is always so open. There's always other lifters on the platform, whether you're just training solo or you're in a class, and like if they see you're here, then you want to learn, and they're there to help you. It is not nearly as intimidating as you think it is. I think that's what I want to say to people. It's such a beautiful sport, and it can bring so much focus to your life. And yeah, like go give it a shot. Sign up to your local weightlifting gym, take a trial. Like if you're apprehensive, just try it out, see how you feel. And if you don't like it after a month, then okay, fine, it's not for you. But if you're curious about it, like please go out and try it. It's such a good time.